Welcome to the Smokin Word. Welcome to the Smokin Word.
Yeah, we got Jersey in the building, everybody. Listen, shout out to everybody tuning in. We back. I know it took a minute, but your boy's been busy. But the Smokin Word podcast is back, so I had to come back with a banger. This one was planned. I'm glad it came sooner than I expected, real soon. And but that's how we do it. Like when I say I'm open 24, I was open 24. I just had to make sure I could get my coffee in. But anyway,
what can you do? I said, what you got going on today?
Yeah, you're like, what you got going on in 4 minutes? I was like, yo, hold on, I think I could get coffee too. But we got the OG guitar. I can't even say, I saw the word when somebody described you, virtuoso. That's probably the first time I even ever said that word. So let me tell you, you could put that in your checklist. Hoya said that word, and I probably couldn't say it again, right? But Ben Weinman, ST, freaking, 100 bands. Well, not 100 bands, right?
Well, you know what, actually.
You filled it. Well, you got in a lot of you played with a lot of bands. How many bands you consider you?
Dillinger Skate Plan, and then I did
that little band.
Giraffe Tongue Orchestra, which
I saw that.
With, some dudes, and then ST, but I have probably about 7 bands in my hard drive I haven't finished.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's the people ain't ready for that. Yeah, we'll talk about some of that. But but Dillinger, that's been your, obviously it's crazy because we played a couple of shows throughout the years. Not a lot, but we always cross paths and we have a lot of the same friends.
Absolutely,
So it's one of the last times we played, if I remember correctly, which don't kid yourself, just because I smoke weed, people think I got a bad memory. I remember everything. We played in Europe with you guys. And I think that might have been the last time we played together. Because I remember, I always want to watch you guys because I'm like, yo, and Mikey, my drummer, shout out to Mikey Justine, I was just talking to him. He was like, yo, they're on right now. And we're like, oh shit, let's go peep them, and
Mikey's great.
Yeah, and
I've seen Mikey in a lot of bands.
Yeah, oh yeah, he's definitely, and I had to get him, when I heard that he was I actually, when we were looking for a drummer, I eavesdropped on him talking to somebody.
No.
And so he was talking to somebody and he was like, yeah, he was filling in for a band. He goes, yeah, who knows, I'm probably just at work and kind of whatever. And I was like, exactly. So, but Ooh. Dirty Jersey, right? Born and bred?
Yep. Dirty Jersey. And, that's why, I talk about a lot of bands come from New Jersey, a lot of good bands. And I always say it's because we can get on a train and go to New York.
Yeah.
So there's just so much culture in New York, so much going on, so much excitement. So if we were in the burbs, we had a garage or basement.
For sure.
So we could practice. Unlike a lot of city folk, we could make noise all the time. But we can go to New York and get into the mess, and be around danger and art and, influence.
And that's how it was built. People, there's something that also a misconception people have about New York, that everybody was from the Lower East Side who made the Lower East Side what the Lower East Side was in the art. It was like, no, it was people from the boroughs and the suburbs that had that. Exactly. We look for that. We look for that, something that our normal, everyday neighborhoods didn't have. And these wild places had what we were looking for, or we, like-minded people lived there.
Yes.
So same thing with us. I was from Queens, It was like I grew up working middle class. I didn't grow up in a squat, but I had a house and a mother and a father.
Yeah, no, that's it. Like, we were able to access that, which was valuable. All these bands, Misfits. Yeah. I used to work at a record store in Jersey, and my boss would say, "Oh, Danzig would come in all the time, pushing his tapes," and we'd be like, "Get the fuck out of here, kid," And he'd be like, listen to my band, like everyone hustled, and we all hustled, and when I came up, it was like there was Headbangers Ball, you know what I mean? And Headbangers Ball
big
gave us access to a mythology that was happening in New York, right, close to us. And when bands like Biohazard or Sick of It All and stuff, and even you guys started getting videos on and stuff like that, it was like, whoa, this is huge.
Yeah.
This is huge, and it's possible.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. That was how it was for us.
Possible. Yeah.
The possibility of something happening, we just happened to be on Roadrunner, which happened to be the biggest metal label at the time.
Yeah.
And we knew it, but we were able to be like, okay, they weren't giving us the videos because at the time they would give like one band a video budget because back then it was like $100,000, $200,000, and
I know.
Sepultura would get it or Typo. But we were like, wow, we're in the same room where somebody's getting a video. So it felt like maybe one day, we trip in the right room, we fall in a video soundstage.
I remember growing up, it's like Roadrunner was everything.
Yeah.
All
right, let me ask you this, because I hear you. You had space to rehearse. I don't care how much time you got to rehearse. You don't get that good like you with just rehearsing and not having a little extra something in your family. Is it music family, or you just happen to be one of the guys
No. I think, grandfather I never met was like a multi-instrumentalist. And like, my mom says I was like him because I'm always prankster. I'm making music. I'm fucking doing art. I'm doing magic. I like doing magic and stuff. Just silly shit.
Dope.
He was just like that. But I didn't know anyone in my family like that. But you know what I did? My dad was heavily into Broadway musicals.
Wow. All right.
And he wasn't even gay.
All right. That's right there. Right there. You could put him down as you got Jackalope, Unicorn, and your Pops.
Yeah, he's Unicorn.
Yeah, exactly. He's in the mix with that.
Yeah. So I was going to New York, going to all these Broadway musicals when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And I was seeing original casts of these big shows that end up having movies later. These
Cats and all that shit.
Les Miserables, all that stuff. But I was forced to go to the stuff, but I was seeing like those musicals, man. The music told stories, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there was a lot going on, and it was telling stories, and there was dynamics, a lot of dynamics because shit was happening. So I think that was a huge influence on me to have like a lot going on, telling the stories, different dynamics, like
your music that's starting to explain some of your music right now.
Yeah, like a whole story was in one musical, you know what I mean? A whole lifetime of some characters was in with ups and downs and changes could be in a short period of music. So I think that might have had an influence on so much dynamics in my music. Like,
yeah, definitely it's organized chaos because that shit is crazy. Because I'm such a moron with my music. I gotta be like, and I hear your shit. That shit sounds like when I plug in my fucking Mac. But you know what I mean? And I'm like, I'm like just starting to make the flame. You know what I mean? Like the gorilla with the two rocks. I'm still in that zone. But there's a place for everywhere, for everything. That's
Well, I mean, that's with that band with Dillinger. It was always my favorite moments was like those breakdowns or something, because it's like without darkness, there's no light. So
of course,
I felt like, we were playing in standard E, which became very rare.
What I was about to say is it's, and we know, and we were, it's okay for a hardcore punk band, and even then we would take a half a step, and we were like, whoa, okay, we don't want to be hate breed. And we're like, but it's a touchy subject. It was, at least back in the day.
But I mean, pretty soon by the mid 90s, late 90s, people started tuning the guitars down. All they had to do was fucking hit the thing and it was heavy. Just gong, you know what I mean? And it's like, sometimes it's like, man, this could be fuck. But I'm like, Slayer, Metallica, Anthrax, that's where I came up and they had riffs. It was riffs.
Mm-hmm.
There was no faking it. There was no just, and not that it's faking it. It's a different thing. I was like, so and I'm lazy. I never wanted to change tunings. I'm not like a theory guy. I'm not like even a gear guy. Like I don't even want to mess with my guitar and like mess and stuff. So, it was I was like, this is what I know, 6 strings, I know E. I'm gonna get as much out of it as possible. That's it. I'm not.
No, exactly. And I know if people don't know that, people out there listening who don't play an instrument, wondering this tuning stuff is like tech talk, but it's something that the average listener probably doesn't pay attention to, but musicians will literally talk shit on you, or your band could get looked at in a different way for literally tuning different, because it will bring a vibe. It could bring the vibe down to certain songs. You know what I mean? Some bands literally do it for every song. So our type of bands kind of stay in a similar zone, and that's our thing. Exactly. We came up from a thrash era where, back then, I guess also it was by design. These guys didn't have early on a text to be able to switch in guitars and stuff. So, you know.
You had to change the string quick.
Yeah, real quick. Stevie Ray Vaughan style. Like on stage and shit.
Yes, we talked about Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Yeah, exactly. And guitar. So how guitar? Like how that fell in your hand? Or was that the first thing that fell in your hand?
It was the first thing. I wasn't good in school and stuff. And, and it's like, now everyone understands like attention deficit disorder and all those kind of things. But, when we were younger, it was just like, you're just going in the special class. That's it. My teachers say, oh, he's out to lunch. He's just like, boop, 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 say that motherfucker's creative and he's thinking all this stuff. It's just like, he's out.
Yeah, he's somewhere else.
Yeah. So, you lose a lot of self-esteem when you're young, and people just don't understand your kind of intelligence, and you don't fit into the curriculum that is the normal educational curriculum. So you lose a lot of self-esteem when you don't fit into that. And, you feel dumb. You feel like you're not, your brain doesn't work that way. Yeah. And so I remember being with my friends, my best friend, who was just really good at school. I think he ended up being a teacher, whatever. He would do math and science homework like that. Boom, done. And I'd just be like looking at like Chinese. I'm like, I don't even comprehend this stuff. But then there'd be something on TV, and I'd take a little toy piano and be like, boom, 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 and like play the melody. Exactly. And be like, how fuck do you just do that? I'm like, can't everyone just do that? Like bang, 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 bang. Like just like, we
learn like, everybody's different. Yeah, exactly. We the old days, everybody had to go to a standard that somebody made up on a chart. Like, okay, you got to be this tall, this way. You got to know this, and that. When it's like, no, it don't work that way. It's like everybody absorbs different, and everybody has something else to offer. Because the same thing happened to me, like with you. I was really lost in school. My music teacher, Miss Lazarus, fuck her. She's probably gone anyway. But I don't wish that, but fuck her. She told me, and Beto's my proof from, shout out to Beto, 25 to life and all. She told us, so, because I couldn't read music. I still can. It was just so hard for me. And I couldn't play the recorder. She told me once, I will never do, and she goes, you'll never do nothing in music because you can't read music. You'll never do nothing with it. Well, I got 9 albums on 2 strings, bitch. So I want to get that out of the way.
I got kicked out of music class in high school.
Yeah.
With the fucking the studio.
Yeah, oh yeah.
You ain't gonna be in it. So okay, so I didn't get in the fucking marching band. Fuck off.
Exactly.
I was on the cover Guitar World.
Yeah, exactly. And I would get people talking shit on me, and they're like working at Sam Ash. Shout out to working at Sam Ash, but these motherfuckers want to show off. I'm like, listen, just get me something that I could play in front of 20,000 people. I don't know the name of it, but I'm gonna play in front of people, not in front of the people trying to buy this fucking thing. Because they give you, I get attitudes because I'm not like, I don't give off a musician, I guess so. But I love it. I kind of, I love being. Yeah.
But that's the same. I'm coming from the same place. And, that's the language I spoke. And then I don't know if you're the same, but, it sounds like, with Roadrunner stuff, like I just got quickly into like extreme music, and you get those catalogs and you just say, what the fuck is, maybe there would always be like the last video on MTV at 3 a.m. was always gnarly. It was
that was always the heavy, the Cro-Mags, the bio.
Cro-Mags, Biohazard, or Morbid Angel.
But yeah, the hard shit, yeah, for sure.
And like, man, I don't even know. Might have even been like D-side and stuff like that, you know? And so I would get into that, then get the catalogs and keep buying all that crazy shit.
But yeah, let me ask you this, but the guitar. So how that's what I'm curious, because obviously that's what you're known for, and I also saw that you played bass in one of the bands. And usually guitar guys, you could kind of do that, and you seem like a studio guy. But first guitar, how did that happen? Where did you pick it up, and where did you find it?
Man, I think I got like I just wanted a guitar, man. I don't know. It seems good. It seems like, a good, I'm not going to be a singer. So, if you want to get sick, probably guitar second, You ever see that meme and it shows like, it's a singer and it's like all these chicks around them. And then it's like guitar player and it's like two chicks.
Yeah.
Going down
the bass player always gets a bad rap in these memes, man. I got to say.
But the drummer had no chicks next to him though. So. That was
he had to lug all this shit around. That's why. Yeah. That's why they were always dicks. They're drummers,
dicks. They're nerdy. They're fucking, But no, I mean, I don't know, man. I just got like a little acoustic guitar or something for a birthday, something. And then it was like, okay, well, if you take it seriously, maybe we'll get you something better, whatever. And then I saved up. You know what? I got my first guitar because I took all my monies from my bar mitzvah.
There you go.
And
that's
I
said, you said Mazel Tov first.
I said, give me that shit. The only reason I did it.
Yeah, give me that shit.
Yeah. And
speaking of bar mitzvah, shout out to Ezek.
Ezek, my boy, fucking Jewish gangster.
Yep.
And
but it wasn't like so it wasn't like a specific guy you like, you're like Jimmy, or it was just let me jump on. Yeah.
No, I just got on it. And then, at that time you see these Steve Vais and all this stuff. And I honestly never got into that stuff. I never got into shredding guitar. Yeah. I liked, Stevie Ray Vaughan we talked about. I was liking that stuff. And then I got into kind of like blues and then like punk and hardcore and stuff like that. And then I was like, I like the extreme metal stuff. So I would like kind of fake it a little bit. I remember I'd be like, and then be like, holy shit. I'm like, I literally had no notes. Like, I just, my hand was crazy. Like, like, whoa. And I'd be like, I really don't know what to do.
Now,
but,
and early Dillinger, because it's crazy music. And now you're explaining it's just making sense, like the blues influence being.
Yeah.
So when you were putting songs early on, were you like saying, obviously your style was already, eclectic. You already had a kind of a wild style. Where you were saying, all right, this band's going to be some, like on a metallic tip with all these influences, but it's going to be on some NASA shit.
Well, I mean, I think for me, like some of the other guys in the band were super technical dudes. And they were always just in the basement playing. And I was going out to shows and talking to people and hanging out. And I didn't really practice. I liked just I liked everything, the business of it, like making flyers and
creating.
Kind of
I'm the same way, building
and just, getting in it and stuff. And, like I told you, I used to go to like city gardens and stuff and watch y'all and bands. And I made bands that were just kind of more typical hardcore or metal or, kind of stuff like that. Not very technical.
Yeah.
And nobody cared.
Yeah.
I wasn't part of a clique. I didn't come from an area with bands. Didn't really, nobody cared, whatever. Yeah. It was still kind of cliquey, the scene. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, that's how it is. Yeah.
Of it, like the more fucking punk, political ended veggie people, they were super fucking cliquey.
Yeah. Everything was. It was definitely what was the flavor of that year kind of shit.
That as cheerleaders and football players. It was really no different. So I kind of gave up on it and was like, fuck all this. And then Dillinger was like, I want to fucking be so intimidating. And so I want it to be violent. I want it to be polarizing. I want to piss people off. I want to do shit like the old bands did, like you heard about Black Flag and you heard about these bands and the Bad Brains and all this stuff, and you heard the mythology, you heard stories, and half of it probably wasn't even true.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't have the internet. By the time it came from California, you know, Rollins is hearing about this band Black Flag who's starting riots. It was probably like 4 people got in a fight. By the time it came to fucking us, it was a riot. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
yeah,
like,
yeah. No, for sure.
And then he took that band to that level because he was stepping in shoes he wanted to, you know, as a fan, you know. And so I was like, I want to make people, I don't even want the older kids to be like, what the fuck is going on over there? You know what I mean? Like even the ones who were there back then.
Yeah,
I wanted them to feel something like they felt like, ooh, I'm not sure about this. There's something, I'm not sure if I like this or hate this. I don't know what's going on here. And I knew that the music had to be completely pushed in order to get that feeling. You couldn't just go make a band that sounded like that band. You had to have the feeling of those bands. You know what I mean?
And it's a hard thing to pull off live also. You guys did it. That's not, you know, record, you know, everybody could sound like a fucking machine.
Sure.
Live, it's hard to do. And you guys were, you know, that, and it's weird because you guys had, you know, it was always your own lane, which I guess there was always, you know, tech metal or whatever. I call it NASA metal. There was always like that's lane.
Yeah.
But they would always just say, oh, like Dillinger. You know what I mean? Like, so.
Well, we weren't like, that's the difference. Like we weren't necessarily like shredder guys. You know what I mean? We just wrote music we couldn't play. You know what I mean? Like we wrote shit that was like, couldn't play it. And our minds were so like, we just kept working on it and working on it and working on it and working on it. They say a song is never finished, it's abandoned. You know what I mean? Like we'd set a time for the studio and we'd just keep going until we had to go in. And sometimes I'd keep writing, changing the song up until the day I went in the studio. I'd be like, all right, let's fuck it up more. Let's make it more crazy. Let's make it more fucking nauseating. Let's make it more obnoxious. Let's make it more obnoxious. And kept doing that. And also there was a bunch of bands coming out at that time that were pushing things that were starting to blend metal and hardcore, you know what I mean? And start to like make things a little more extreme or whatever. And I was like, fuck them. We got to kill those bands.
You know what I mean?
We got to turn up. You know? Got to turn everything up. Got to turn everything up.
Who was the lay of the land in your lane at that time?
Who was like the band?
Yeah, the bands like similar, like it could be a typical, like, you know, obviously back then you would say, okay, Madball, Fury of 5, you know, where was Dillinger, blah, 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 blah. What would be a kind of a bill that would be like, okay.
So like some of the guys in the band, like me and our singer Dimitri were always at shows. We were always at Asbury watching Fury of 5.
Yeah.
You know, watching Stick Man challenge the entire crowd to a fight.
Still.
Someone would say, fuck you. He'd be like, who said that?
I know.
I'll fight every single person.
I can't wait to hug him. Shout out to Stick Man. I got a hug waiting for that. Big
fun, man. Those days, like I loved being in that. You know, I was always in New Brunswick. Yeah. You know, at the Melody Bar. I was always in Red Bank at all the food halls and Princeton.
Jersey had music, always had music.
Fucking Middlesex County College shows. I was at all that all the time.
When you guys put out early your first thing with, who you got signed with? What was your first release with? Who was it with?
Our friend Matt, he started a record label. He was doing shows in Jersey. He was from Red Bank. He started a record label, and we were the first thing he put out, but we didn't even have a name or nothing at the time. So we were going to play his show, and he said, we need a name for it. And I said, we don't have a name. He's like, you need a name? We're like, I don't know. We're just going to play. We were just bitter at this point. We gave up kind of, you know? And then we were watching a Dillinger documentary on John Dillinger, the gangster.
Yeah.
And it was just like, you know, something about how he always had these escapes from jail. Like he would like make a gun out of a soap and shoe polish and fucking get out of jail with that. Yeah. Then we just said Dillinger escape plan. And he's like, that's fucking, you can't remember it. It's too long.
Yeah.
It doesn't go off your tongue. It doesn't,
Great.
Not catchy. At that time, all these bands were a lot like one name bands. You know what I mean? And I was like, good. I'm
still on track of pissing people off.
We did everything to make people not like us as possible.
And that's great because that also that's happened to a couple of like classic OG bands where I think, who was it? I don't know. I forgot which band it was, but same thing. One of these OG bands, they had a show and they were like, yo, we need a name. Yo, they already got us billed and they made up a name and ended up being their name, which, again, like what you say, sometimes you just gotta, like, I never heard that expression you said, and it's great. The one where a song is never finished is abandoned, because that's how I am. I'm walking, I'm putting shit on it like until I can touch it.
Yeah, that's how we are. That's our brain. You know what I mean? And but like I there was bands with the attitudes, there was bands with the edge, and then there was bands who were obviously coming from more musical backgrounds or listening to other music and bringing it into our scene. Yeah. And so there was bands like that band Dead Guy. There was bands like Coalesce, and Botch and stuff like that, who were starting to bring more metal, a little more technical metal stuff into the hardcore punk scene. And they were probably metalheads, but like me, the metal scene was tough because you had to pay to play.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You had to sell tickets to your parents and your cousins, all this shit. This place, Obsession. You know Obsession?
I know Obsession, of course. I remember. I played there. I remember all those spots.
Right. So Obsessions was my closest place, and we would always have to, try and sell tickets and this. And then I was like, wait, the punk hardcore scene, you just go to a VFW hall and you just play.
That's what I always say. I'm a metal guy. I love metal. I always did. But this is the problem that I had, and this is my whole concept. And it's exactly what you say. In hardcore punk, you have from kindergarten till you graduate. In metal, you have kindergarten and graduating. And the only way you go from that is battle the bands, or you got to pay or hope you get signed to play with the major touring act.
Right.
In hardcore, you got the garage. Then you play the backyard. And then you play, we got a bar gig. We're going to play the club. You have your grades. Yeah. That's why the metal guys they're like, yo, we got no in between. We could jump on a hardcore show because hardcore dudes were like, they were metal guys also. Like all the early bands were metal guys that found hardcore, and now we got a place we could play every week.
Absolutely, and I knew it. I saw it in all the bands. You know what I mean? You see it in the Cro-Mags.
For sure, all of them. All of them. I tell people, not everybody was Freddie born in the Lower East Side. Like people think like he was born like he's one of the rare things playing at 8 years old. But I
mean, he's someone you see as a little boy.
Yeah,
stage diving and shit. He's like fucking little. But most of us didn't have an older brother, sister who knew all the good shit.
Exactly.
We listened to what we had access to. A lot of it was MTV, like
exactly, and then
the catalog. Then we'd see, that dude in Obituaries wearing a fucking shirt that says Napalm Death on it. What's that? Yep. Let me go check that out. Yep. That was like your when you look at the band picture, you see what shirt they wore. That was your playlist.
Absolutely,
that was the equivalent of like an influencer. Like this is what you should like.
Listen, the Misfits owe Metallica almost everything. Because they were forgotten about. I love the Misfits, but nobody cared. I had Walk Among Us. Thank God, rest in peace to my brother. I had all that shit from then. And you know what, my brother, rest in peace, is why I got into this. My brother grew up with all alleyway crew. Sick of it all, straight ahead, all the OGs. Well, guess what? They were all metalheads. All of them. Yeah. But this is what it is. That it was metal guys that wanted more than what metal was offering. They found the punk scene and go, yo, everybody we find it. We either find it and we live in it or we skip over it. Yeah. Those guys are the hardcore scene, but I always tell people, I go, metal's the uncle. Without that uncle, this shit is just it's just Liberty Spikes. Yeah, that's cool too, but I wasn't into that part.
I never even thought about that. But like people think of hardcore coming more from punk. Yeah. But truthfully, I think it's more metal dudes finding punk as a way to get in.
Yeah. I think the hardcore that we are familiar, because we come from, our metal was thrash. Then we knew punk and hardcore. Yeah. I think we understand that because we came in that zone where exactly what you're saying, it just makes sense to us in that way. And it's crazy how it all works. But I'm like, that was my whole thing. My whole thing was metal was technical, but the attitude, nothing beat a hardcore punk attitude. You know, like that the rawness. And then you see James Hetfield rocking a Discharge shirt. You're like, oh, they know what's up, GBH. Okay, Exploited. Right. I mean, come on. AF Boots. I know I was lucky to see that early because of my brother, but I saw early on, like, I was like, yo, I love Slayer, but yo, what's up with that makeup? I used to say that when I was a B-boy. I was 10 years old, like a hip hop kid, but I was like, I love that shit. But yo, man, why they got that makeup on?
You know, it's funny though, because it was almost, that's really, you know, in Jersey especially, we came up, it was hair metal. Yeah. You know, I mean, I remember when Zakk Wylde was just like, he looked like the hottest chick you ever fucking seen. He was hot blonde chick, you know?
Yo, shout out to Pantera. I mean, I know.
He was the pretty boy, and he was the guy that shredded so much. And I was a little kid, but I was like, I heard that's the guy who's gonna make it. Yeah. That dude is gonna make it. He was from Jersey. They're like, that's the dude that's gonna make it. And then he got an Aussie, and everyone was like, holy shit, he's an Aussie. That's it. You know what I mean? But it was like, and he was very, you know, glam and shit like that. But like, it was like all of a sudden it was like, okay, there's a line in the sand. Like there's the Poisons and the Motley Crues and this and that. And then like the Metallicas and the Slayers had to make a choice. Are you gonna fucking draw the line and be like, no, we ain't that? Or are you going to be that and try to get that fucking hit ballad or whatever? You got to make the choice. Metallica somehow figured they fucking right time, right place. It was like
they made the line thick. That's what I say. They did ballads. They made it thick because they found such a comfort zone where the OGs, you know, they were able to go in and they're fucking MTV, but insane how that shit happened. And fucking
imagine if MTV whole thing fell apart a year before the Black Album.
Oof. Yeah.
They may never have been nothing more than they were.
I still remember, you know, I remember when Madball, and this is, you know, I don't want to be, the old guy back in the day, but we would get fan mail, handwritten mail. Roadrunner would be like, yo, come pick up your mail. Like, I mean, the ones that, you know, I don't even think I could write anymore. I think I forgot how to write, like literally. Like,
yeah, I still find letters from kids to Dillinger in my parents' address.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah,
like, I find flyers, man. I'm looking at flyers, you know, and it's got like the dude's fucking home phone number on it. For more information, 732-448-0036, and it'll say not after 10 o'clock.
Yeah, because Mom Dukes.
Yeah.
You can't do that shit. On my old demo, my Demise demo, I posted it. I had my old address because I was the guy, and I was like, yo, what am I doing? Now I think about it, I'm like, and what was the first time out of the country? Was it on your own tour, or did you go with somebody like opening?
No. So first time was in 1999.
I was going to say 98, probably.
2000, 99, 2000. It was a Dillinger headline with this band Botch, who just recently did a reunion.
Yeah, I just seen that somewhere.
And then a couple European bands, you know. So it's one of those 4 or 5 bands on one bus.
Yeah.
You know, playing all squats, whatever, all the dumps, you know.
Yeah, you caught that. That's what I was asking for sure.
Yeah, all the dumps and all the squats and all this shit, and you know, lots of vegan pasta and whatever the fuck, you know what I mean?
Punk rock stuff.
Yeah, and you know, my bunk was dripping on me.
Yeah,
Johnny's water torture. But that was some shit. That was crazy fun, man. I mean, it was a dream that you could go there, that someone would know. And we had just signed to Relapse Records, and they were mainly metal and grindcore, and they put out Meshuggah in the U.S. They were distributing Meshuggah in North America. So that was kind of like why we fit in there a little bit, but we were more hardcore than that. They were more metal. We were a little more punk. And we didn't fit in anywhere right away because, you know, like the metal kids in Europe who listened to Relapse stuff. They just liked everything on Relapse. It was Brutal Truth and a lot of the crusty grind metal stuff, you know. Nile, that band was signed.
Yeah.
You know, and,
you guys took baths, basically.
Yeah, we signed on that, and it was kind of like a lot of the hardcore bands were like, "Whoa, they signed to a real label, like you guys, like a metal label, that's real. This ain't, you know." And but when we went to Europe, it was still before the Euro. It was still
I caught that up. Yep.
Remember when you have just pockets of change? You're like,
of different horrible. We lost hundreds of. Thank God no real money was actually made, I think, hopefully, because exactly, I would come back with, we call them bling blongs. Yeah. You don't even know what the fuck it is.
I'd be all the flick flacks and ding dong.
And only Amsterdam, there was like one bank by Milkweg that would change the foreign exchange. That was the only place.
And you could, and at the airport and shit, they wouldn't take change sometimes. Horrible. But like I'd be like, dude, I think I just lost $75 on the couch. You know what I mean? Like,
hell yeah.
But
horrible.
Yeah. But also there wasn't really YouTube going yet and stuff like that. So and you remember this, every country had a completely different culture.
Oh yeah.
So you know, like when you went to like London, it was similar to America. Like you look out in the crowd, they look kind of like us. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
But then you went to Holland, it was just so we were because the people knew us from the label we were on. It was like metalhead. We didn't look like metalheads. We had short hair.
Yeah.
Dressed in, you know, some baseball jersey or some shit, you know, or some hardcore shirt, some shit like red shirt. You know what I mean? Or like
against the 101 metal rule book. Yeah, I know you.
Yeah, shaved head or just a Caesar or some shit. And we'd show up to play, and these long hair metal dudes would be like, "Fuck is this? Yeah, this ain't the Relapse band. What the fuck is this?" And we would just have to go nuts and just win them. You know, we would just show them we're serious. You know, and then, but I remember having to turn people because they didn't like how we looked.
Yeah,
you know, they didn't feel like we looked the part. And at that point, you never saw a Slayer shirt at a hardcore show. You never saw a Black Flag or Misfits shirt at a metal show.
Yeah.
It just didn't happen. Now it's like whatever. You see long hair, short hair, whatever, whatever, you know? And so and then you'd go to Holland and everyone would just be standing there like this.
Yep. Oh,
yeah. All high as fuck, dude.
Yeah, you definitely had to work back then.
You don't even know if they like you or not. And
you had to work hard for sure.
Yeah,
you know, and especially at that time, because I know what you mean, because everything was still so new. But what was good about that time is once you get them, when you had to win them that hard, you got them.
You got them.
You know, they're with you right now. Those same guys that hate out, that were standing like this, they're still following you. You know,
and that's the best thing about, you know, like Madball, especially. Like I remember being like, man, it's so cool. Like, I would watch you guys on festivals all the time because I'm like, these are from my place, you know?
Yeah.
And I would watch and be like, these guys could play in Europe for the rest of their fucking lives. You know, and it's great.
Yeah, you know, we're lucky. We're lucky that we're all lucky for Europe. And Europe is definitely, they follow the podcast heavy. And again, because they follow heavy music, you know, we all know it. You know it very well from being out there so much that as much as we love America, we do, they finickiest motherfuckers on the planet. And Europe, they love the taste of goulash and stew, and they'll stick with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
they're not worried about it's poke now, and then next week it's Memphis fried chicken, and now it's pizza. Like, and I love that about, you know, America keeps you sharp. But I think Europe keeps you humble and also helps us, gas us up. We could use that big up of playing bigger shows and being respected for what we do could also help us to keep doing what we're doing. Because you know that, like, you know, not all of us do it because we need people trying to rip our clothes off. But it feels good when people acknowledge something we work hard on. You know,
right. You're like, okay, maybe I did do something okay.
Yeah, exactly. Wow, yeah, you know what? I busted my ass on that record. Wow, you noticed it for a while. Somebody, you know, talks about a riff or something that you're like, I actually worked on that and blah, blah. You know, I love those moments because I'm like, word. that's cool. You caught that. It's
Yeah.
a, and I'm like, and that's good to be able to have that. And Europe is big with that.
Yeah.
Like, and
They're loyal, man.
and let me, and what was you're doing Dillinger? Where does that weed off? Because I don't, it's never. I don't think it's officially never been a like you stopped. You just kind of
yeah, we
started
just
doing other
so,
stuff and leaving it open, right?
so we were doing it forever, man. And the cycle becomes you do an album, whoever's writing the album is usually like me and then whatever drummer I had in the band working on riffs and stuff, then send it to the singer, whatever. And then, then it's like set up the album, blah, 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 do some interviews, then go on tour, then tour your ass off, get exhausted, be like, fuck, I hate touring. I just want to write music, then you fucking go and now you're writing music. I can't wait to tour, and it's just this cycle. And then all of a sudden I'm like, Jesus, it's been 20 years, 20 years. And you feel the same. You don't grow. You don't, nothing. You feel like the same exact person and everything around you is changing. You come home 2 months later and you think it's like the day after you left. And now there's someone got married, a baby popped out. There's a store that wasn't there before. Where the fuck did that come from? It's just life keeps changing. And I just realized, I was like, man, I just want more. Yeah. I want more. This business sucks. People don't give a shit. They care about what you can do for them. That's it.
I almost think it's in our 40s thing because I could relate 1,000%.
Yeah.
You could either be one of those people that you just deal with whatever you got and be miserable, or like that. People that like to create, we're always in search of that next thing because we got to keep making.
Yeah.
And that's why we stay on. You could kind of tell from people's hustle on what they're doing. If it ain't one, staying busy.
Yeah.
I'm the busiest lazy guy you'll ever meet. You know what I mean? Like believe me, I'm like not a guy this and that, Mr. Motivation or that, but nah, fuck that. Like when I do something, I want to see that. I got to do 2.0 or I don't do it. It's just not an option. Or I could save that wasted time for my children. Right. If I'm gonna take away from my children, I gotta make that every minute. I gotta squeeze that minute into an hour. Yeah. You know what I mean? I got it. So also, I rather throw spitballs with my son. I have more memories with that, but my son doesn't have his college fund just yet. So until then, I do this. But and this is what I'm glad. I stay around the music and I love the music and all this stuff. And I know like with you being a guy like it shows. The bands faded off, and I know you had your other band and you were creating, but you also have a big. You had a big stint with filling in with a lot of people, right? You were jumping in as a
I mean, well, I kind of like decided I wanted to be done with the Dillinger thing, and I started the band, so I was the consistent member. Yeah, I was the only original member by the end, actually. But I mean, there was guys who were in a very long time, but and so I was kind of like, man, I think that. Our singer went another direction. He moved to Hollywood and started getting more into that whole thing. And I'm just very same person. I'm consistent. Ben is Ben. Yeah. People know me. I don't know. Tavi, right?
Yeah, of course, my brother. Of course. Yeah, he's for you. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Same people. That's my brother. Love him. And he's always like
we're the same. Yeah. It's like we are. It's the same dude. Yeah. Same dude. That's Ben. That's Tavi. We're like that. Doesn't matter how many years you didn't talk, you get back together. It's all good.
Yeah.
And so we kind of gone into different directions, as far as priorities and things like that. And I was like, man, I just don't know if the values of the band are gonna stay the same, because that was what's important to me, how it started, and doing it for the right reasons, all that stuff. And I just said, I think it's done, man. I think it's done. I want to do other stuff. And I know that this band takes so much of my time and so much out of me that I got to close that door to make other doors open. I have to. And I'm young enough to still do stuff. I'm old enough to say I've done everything I want to do with this, and that was it. Put out a last album, and then threw up on, we're playing our last show in New York City or whatever, and then we played at Terminal 5 that sold out in like 1 second. And then I'm like, man, something's broken with that thing, man. I told him, it's broke. Nobody can buy tickets. Like, people can't buy tickets. He's like, no, let's go out. So we're like, let's throw another one up. Let's throw another one up. And like, we sold like 10,000 tickets. And like, we were bigger than ever when we broke up. We were as on point, successful, reviews. Everything was as high as we'd ever been. And we ended it. And everyone's like, that's dope. Who does that? Who does that?
And you were like, I meant to do that. You're like, fuck.
I
know. Fuck. No, I know. And that's dope that, when it happens like that. It's crazy everything you're saying because, I can relate to a lot of what you're saying.
Yeah, I know. We talked about it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's crazy because, exactly. Just, it's, everybody's different. Some people are constantly in search of that thing. And because I had seen, and I remember with you throughout the years following, he's playing with this, and then I even had heard that you were managing people, right? Because we have similar, Eric. Shout out to Eric when I know you were training and stuff, but he was telling me like you were managing, you had some people or stuff, and I was like, yo, he's all over the place, playing management. I was all like, so
when I had kids,
yeah, they gotta eat.
I had a daughter, and I adopted my son.
Dope.
And yeah, man, it was just different kind of priorities,
Yeah. And then
you gotta eat. And this is
for sure. And then with you still doing you're doing the management stuff still?
I've actually stopped. I've stopped doing that, and I'm straying away from that kind of stuff because it's just too draining. It takes up too much of your time. And it's just like this thankless fucking job. You know what I mean? And like it's like you're working with an artist and they want to know every day, what did you do for me today? What did you do for me today? And sometimes like, dude, let's talk Friday. It's not about what I did 5 minutes ago. It's like, let's catch up on Friday. Is that? And I was, it was affecting my marriage. I had, I was working with a female who's like Grammy Award winning pop singer and all this stuff. She's calling me at 3 a.m. My wife's like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I don't give a fuck how many records she's like, nah. I know you mean demand. It's definitely the baby.
I can't, and it's just
the babysitting part.
Yeah. And then I realized I was getting opportunities. I was losing personal opportunities because I was so adamant about making it work for other people. And I realized, fuck, man, my value is me. I can't control them, but I can control myself. I'm getting asked to do some kind of song for a movie or something. And I'm like, well, what about them? Do it for them. Because I just want to show I'm working for them. I'm like, no, fuck them. Like I need to do, I can control myself. I'm pizza. I know what it is, Here's the fucking dough. Here's the shit. Take me $1. I know what I made at the end. Yeah. And so I realized, and so I just stopped doing all that stuff, and I started getting into more movie scoring and things like that.
That's dope. That was always a thing I loved. Like, we're gonna talk. I'll pick your brain another time about that shit because I was always not so much that I want to get into it because I love music, and I always. Not so much like, I want to get into scoring movies, but I'm always putting videos together, and I wanted to know, and I would write music. When I write Madball music, I basically would put like 300, the fight scene, and I would play these riffs, and then I would play it to the movie and say, if it fits like the soundtrack, it works. That's a great thought. Yeah. I would do that. I did many movies. I wrote the top, but I'm like, shit looks hard, and the music sounds. It works.
It works with this scene and the fights.
Exactly, and I always wanted to. I'll pick your brain another time. Like, kind of ideas on how you how you lay out a scene, and you say, okay, where do I start, or multiple scenes. Yeah. Ideas of that, but real quick on that scoring stuff, what kind of stuff you've done on that? You said you got to do some
man.
So
stuff, I was lucky enough that during the pandemic, I did like 3 movies, and that was rare. because people weren't working. And so there was some of these directors and stuff. They started working in Jersey because there's a bunch of tax benefits. So the governor of New Jersey started doing tax incentives for people to film in New Jersey. Upstate New York had it, Canada had it, and all of a sudden the governor's like, "No, we want you to come here." They give all these tax incentives, and so this production company started making movies in Jersey. My friend was like, "Yo, like you should work with my buddy," and the first thing I did, they're like, "Can you do it for $30,000 bucks?" And I'm like, "Yeah."
Yeah. Yeah. Let's go.
It was pretty nuts because I scored an entire movie of complex music for fucking $3,000 bucks. People say, "Oh man, you make money, all this shit." But like, what about what you did? I mean, like
a lot of work.
I could have put a song on my Patreon and made $3,000. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, for sure.
For the fucking movie, I'm talking about orchestra. I'm talking about strings and shit like that. I did a whole fucking thing because I was like, I know I gotta learn this
and kill it. Yeah,
I know I need deadlines, and I know I gotta kill it. And I think what made me valuable was that I just said, whatever you got, I'll make it work. And I handed in a score, front to back, finished, mixed, mastered. The whole thing done. Here, boom. And and no editor, no this shit. So then it was like, all right, well, this is amazing. So then I got a couple more for that same thing, and I said I need more money, like that, and but I've always been like, I will make work what you got, I'll make it work, and I just love it so much, I enjoy it so much, that's cool. But I was recently trying to, the last project I was doing was a documentary on the guy, and he died. It was he was a heroin addict who went to San Quentin and all this stuff, and then he got sober and wrote a book and all this stuff, and then I was working on the music for his documentary, and then I think it was one of those things where he was probably using, and was taking the ketamine and all that shit on top of it and all this stuff, and then boom, he's just gone. So that whole thing went on pause,
Yes.
But that would have been different. I never did a documentary or something.
Yeah, the more and you like it. Like if you could, that'd be your lane. Scoring movies. Besides, obviously, it could be the right movie. You could. What's Hans Zimmer, right? Ain't he the man, right? That's the man, right?
Yeah, he's the man. But I mean, I did movies. The movies I did, they weren't fucking Oscar winners, but they had big actors in them. I did Tyrese. I had a movie with Tyrese. I did a movie with Antonio Banderas.
Hell yeah! Listen, you know how it goes with records. Not every record's a platinum. There's a billion records that aren't, and those are the records that people are listening to and that people are watching. I tell people, I go, you only see the top layer. There's bricks. They just see the antenna on top.
Yeah, I've been saying I scored the movies that your dad watches on Netflix at fucking 3 a.m.
Oh yeah, that's
dope. When they can't sleep and it's some bad action movie, but they're like, "This is fun."
yeah, that's dope, man. Yeah, I love that shit. I always love that shit, and we're gonna definitely talk soon about that shit. And then how we were able to connect, we connected in Las Vegas at Punk Rock Bowling was. I know you've been playing now for a while now with Suicidal.
Yeah.
How did that come into the mix? Because Suicidal, that's family, the boys, and one, you got to be a killer to play with Suicidal. And also, I always wondered the merry-go-round of death that Suicidal got. I don't know where they come from. They come and go. Some of these guys are funk guys. You see Lombardo one day. You see freaking, this dude, what's his name? Thundercat. Yeah. I got to shout out to Thundercat. I was with him on one of those runs. What happens? How you get the call? Or did you know them? How did that happen?
Well, man, I think that one thing I talk about with Mike a lot is I relate to Suicidal a lot. I see a lot of similarities with Dillinger Escape Plan in the way that I ran that band. Mike runs Suicidal. And it's we do so much on our own to squeeze $1 and make it work for everybody. And, not everyone understands those logistics. And I understand it. So me and Mike, we bond a lot because he's like, I know Ben gets what's happening right now. And a lot of those guys who join the band, they just want to get paid all more and this and that, whatever. And they don't realize the logistics of it. And I know, I know. I'm like, we're doing this show and Mike's probably losing money. because it's a good opportunity. He wants us to work, and I appreciate it. You know what I mean? Like most people don't understand the dynamic, you know, and I understand everything. So like, you know, we get along very well in that way. We're a band that people assumed we were like obnoxious because of our music, or pretentious, you know what I mean? Or like because it was very violent and stuff.
Maybe because that's the attitude you wanted to present when you started.
Yeah, but then I never really understood. Like people were scared to talk to us.
Yeah.
Bands
no, you know what it is. You guys, not even that out. Obviously, it wasn't a scare thing, but you guys, even to us, I always saw you guys as eccentric. Like, oh, there's some. You know, like they're not connected to nobody. Yeah, they're connected to hardcore and metal, but they're not connected. You know, you're even to the metal guys. Like, nah, they're their own. Like I called it like NASA metal, and that was just because it was like real slick. But again, I know when you guys came out, it was different. Being Jersey dudes.
Yes, but people assumed like, you know, like the bands kind of in our lane assumed that we just thought they were stupid little kids or whatever. Like, I'm sure you guys got it when new New York hardcore bands would be like scared to talk.
Big time.
You know, they're like legendary shit, you know? Yeah. And even I felt that way. Like, you know what I mean? And like, you know, and people had that shit with, and I find out now because when I get friends with them, some other things, they're like, man, you're nice, dude. I'm like, yeah, well, fucking talking to me. They're like, I'm not the dude on stage, fucking blood and bleeding and fucking throwing my guitar at people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and I remember seeing Suicide. I grew up on Suicidal. It got me into really guitar music, probably because I was skateboarding and listening to new wave and shit and all the new wave stuff. I was very little, and I was like, skaters listen to either like the thrash shit. Punk shit, or they listen to The Cure and shit like that. You know what I mean? It was like two different lanes of, and I remember going to the half pipe and hearing the older kids playing Suicidal, and I was like, "What's that?" And then I got the tape and I'm like, "What is this? A gang? This motherfucker's playing metal." And then I'm like, "This black guy's shredding these fucking things." And then there's a bass player look like a Navajo Indian. I don't know what the fuck, long hair and shit. It was fascinating. You know what I mean? It was like, what is this? And I remember wearing that tape out to a warble, you know?
Yeah.
Warble. And then, so it's funny that full circle, now I'm in that band because that band's responsible a lot for me even playing guitar, you know? But what happened, I remember seeing Suicidal on a festival and seeing Mike at a catering. And I wanted to go talk to him, and I'm like, this guy looks like he's gonna eat me.
Yeah.
Like,
big.
I got fucking nuts. You know, I'm not fucking talking to him.
I love Mike. Shout out to I ain't scared of him either. I'm ready to hug his ass too.
Oh, I love him.
I know. Yeah, he's an OG. It's the OG right there.
Family, but when you have that mythology, like you guys have that mythology, Dillinger had this mythology. Like, what do these guys must be like?
Yeah.
From the stories, you know, like same with in Suicidal. Was the original OG fucking
for sure.
They're the OG gangsters, man. You didn't know what the fuck was going through their heads, where they're coming from. They were in their own lane,
definitely
completely in their own lane. And so, one day, actually, Mike Patton, who I did an album with Mike Patton.
Oh shit!
And we did an album with So
which project?
Well, it was actually Dillinger. We were going through a member change, so we were looking for a new singer at the time. This is in 2000.
I didn't know that he had
or something. And Dillinger went on tour with Mr. Bungle. It was like our first real tour, honestly, in 1999. It was our first real tour. We opened for Mr. Bungle. It was rough, but it was learning experience. And then you know, I became friends with him, and it was clear that we were kind of on the same wavelength, you know. Yeah. And then we had talked about doing something, and then we had 4 Dillinger songs demoed out, and we still didn't have a singer yet. So I sent them to him. I'm like, "You want to do this?" And he's like, "Yeah, let's do this," you know, like. And it wasn't like we were trying to make him our singer because we knew we were a full-time band. We knew he had like multiple bands and stuff like that. You know, but we figured this could be a cool little thing. So we did an album with an EP. It was Dillinger Escape Plan with Mike Patton. And so, you know, I became very close with him in the process of that album, you know, working on that album with him. And we stayed friends throughout the years. And he texted me. He's like, "Yo, is it cool if I give Mike Muir your phone number?" I'm like, Yeah.
Be like, nah, I'm busy right now. Yeah,
like,
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Because a lot of people heard I'm done playing. He don't want to be in bands. I did a stint in the Prodigy.
Yeah, I
I
saw
played
that
with
you
the
were doing with them
Prodigy
too.
for a
Yeah.
minute, and like that was as big as it gets, but it just didn't work for me, and so um a lot of people didn't ask me to join bands, because they're like, he's just dad dude now, what I mean?
Yeah.
But Patton's like, maybe, I don't know, can I give him your number? I said, hell yeah. Fucking 5 minutes later, Mike Muir calls me, starts talking to me about the band and that the guy's leaving kind of out of nowhere. The dude's leaving the band and they're kind of in a bad spot. And I said to him, I was like, man, one of my favorite bands ever, without a doubt, Suicidal. But I kind of stopped the touring thing, man. I got a baby and I'm kind of trying not to do that anymore. I could do little bits. I could do a couple days, but I'm not doing the months thing anymore. And he's like, well, let's try it. So then we did the whole first album at House of Vans. And I remember Mitz was out there.
Yes, and he jumped on. I remember.
He jumped on because I had to learn a whole set because we were going to Canada to do a little run. So I had to learn the whole normal set. And then I was like, oh, I got to learn a whole first album now too. And I'm only going to play it one time. And then, so I learned a bunch of songs and then, I played a bunch of them. And then we just hit the road. I met them for the first time at that show.
Wow.
We didn't rehearse nothing.
Crazy. Yeah, no, that's great. And they're all killers. Like, that's the perfect band to be able to do that with. Because one, Dean is, you already know, that's my man, the flavor unit right there. And no matter who they got, Mike knows I got to come with killers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was good seeing, I'm lucky that I got to see it, and we got to be really close with Suicidal, and I got to see a couple.
Very close with you guys.
Yes, I look specifically for Mike to terrorize him. We bug. I always look for where is he, and Dean is just, that's fam. But I love that I got to also see them go through a couple different phases and see, I got to see, like, pick my favorite and, this was better than that. This guy was too much. This guy wasn't that. So I'm glad where they're at now with the band. Like I said, I really mean this. The last time I felt this way was when they had Lombardo and Ra, because more the style of playing I love. Yes. All the other guys, Thundercat, of course, dope. Homeboy on drums, they were great, but they're better to be played for them. They need to be the star of that show.
Yes.
To be like a cohesive, like, the kid.
Yeah, I mean, the difference between like Ra, me and Ra, and even Ty Trujillo, because he came from that blood. He's known that band from day one. The difference between us and some of those other guys, including the younger cats who play guitar in the band and stuff, they don't necessarily they want to be in a band.
Yes.
They don't know the difference. Suicidal's in our blood.
Yeah. No, you could tell. And you know what I love? So as far as, obviously, Suicidal always tapped in with the funk, and we all know that. So obviously, Ra was like the perfect, as much, because I was never super funk guy, but Ra was perfect.
Yeah.
The kid now, Ty, that is how I think it should be played, where he's meat. Like, he could kill all that, but he's, you're going for the riffs. You're playing that. I'm all about the pulse and about, I want everybody on that same wave at the same time. You know what I mean? Kind of shit. Like, I don't need to be like, oh, I'm hanging 10 on the surfball. No, I said, look at the wave. That's what I like seeing.
Right.
And just meat, just heavy, and Ra was great. Again, I got to see that, and I even said, man, and I would say, I would be like, I would give my unwanted opinion, even if they didn't care. But I love it because I'm like, I was waiting to see this lineup live because I like comparing. I got to see a couple different,
Yeah, I know you did all
variations and shit. And it's great, and I'm glad. And again, man, we're better dudes to be with. Everybody you got now on deck. You got the young bucks on, on the rhythm section. Shout out to all that. You got a good squad right now. And
what's
people, Yeah, what's the deal with ever writing with them or anything?
Man, especially like when I joined the band, it was Rod Lombardo, and it was like,
Yeah.
and I had the fire for Suicidal. Like, again, those dudes who played before me, all of them, especially those young dudes, they shred. They're like fucking dudes.
Yeah.
Like, they're way better guitar players than me, but there's a difference between just being like, I want to be in a band, and I'm in this band because it's Suicidal. You know what I mean?
Exactly. You could tell.
And so, I wouldn't just join a band. I like being home, And so when I joined the band, and I was such a massive fan of Suicidal for so long, and then Rod was a massive fan of this. You know the story of how Rod got in the band?
I know Rod was like a fan. He used to go like see them.
He was the Punisher.
Yeah.
I know he's and then at the airport, Punisher. Like, oh fuck, here he is, dude.
Yep.
Go that way, fuck. He was Suicidal fanatic.
Yep.
And then he just was ready. Motherfucker was ready. Boom. He was ready. He jumped in. They needed a bass player. He was fucking ready. Every little twinkle.
Yes.
And that shit, And no better and so he joined that band. Then Lombardo had the thrash element that they were missing with all the gospel chops guys.
Yes.
Those gospel chop guys, again, they're fucking animals. Thomas Pridgeon. I was in a band with Thomas Pridgeon. I did that band Giraffe Tongue Orchestra with Thomas Pridgeon, and William from Alice in Chains sang in it. And
I gotta check that out. I saw it, but I didn't hear it. But
I'll send you a link.
For sure, I want to check it out.
And Thomas Pridgeon's like an octopus. He's like fucking billion hands. These guys are unbelievable. But it was nice. I was like, man, now they got a thrash drummer.
Yeah.
And not only a thrash drummer, but like he's got that Latin pocket. You know what I mean? Like Lombardo has that Cuban pocket.
Yeah.
Even in thrash.
Yes.
And I see it. I know it,
Yeah.
And so feeling that every time he played that fast, you still feel that Latin pocket. That's the difference between a Suicidal and a metal band, and stuff like that. And so I was like, we should be making a fucking album right now. This is fire. We are fire.
Yeah.
And Mike was kind of like, albums don't sell anymore. Who cares about albums? And he's just kind of like, whatever. And I was like, well, what's best for Suicidal, but I would love to. I would love to do it. And then there was a couple old songs that he busted out and we jammed on. I think like Lombardo played on and I played on. I don't know if they might have come out. They were like redos of old songs or something like that, or Michael songs or something. I was just like, whatever, I'll play. You just tell me. You point, I'll play, But there's a chance. There's a chance there'll be some new ST. Yeah. I'm waiting for the definite thumbs up, but there's talk going around.
Hell yeah. No, I figured they should be. It's a good vibe now. And it's due. And then look, ST just keeps going. Like they they always come. Mike always comes with something and it's refreshing and it always seems right. Nothing ever seems like too much or like too soon. And I gotta say this. Shout out to ST for giving more minorities a place to thrive than the Fresh Air Fund. The freaking listen, let me tell you, I know this because I'm one of them. Listen, shout out to
it's the best thing about ST, man. Like I said, I saw that tape. I'm like, whoa, this is
I love it.
Black guy. There's a
more black Spanish guys. Exactly. I love it.
This is fucking
I love it.
Interesting. This is multicultural and you can hear it.
Yes. Listen, straight up and down, they wouldn't be no Madball without ST. One, besides being affiliated how we are and just in general, if you look at early Madball, like even before I was in the band, like the first stages, like when Freddie was a kid and then they did a 7-inch, they would rock the bandanas. Nobody was rocking the bandanas unless it was Suicidal, and it was kind of on an ode to ST on some kind of that type of shit.
It was, and all those dudes, man. Everyone. ST is the OGs, and Mike is the OG, and like even we just played with the reunited Biohazard out in Milwaukee Metal House. Even them with the blue bandanas, man. Like I know and I can say it because I'm the same. Like we all owe ST,
Yes.
you know, a fucking
Absolutely. To be able, even for us to be an affiliated kid from the streets, to still be able to connect skateboarding and have it be cool. Listen, I came from an all black Spanish neighborhood. First of all, I was a skin. And to be a skinhead when they only had white power shit on TV, I already had, we either had to deny it and just say I don't into it, or you had to have the hardcore superpower. And in my high school, there was like 4 or 5 of us, me, Beto, and 2 other my boys that loved metal and hardcore. And you know what? It was all black and Spanish. We caught shit, but we stuck with it. That's why we're still here. We were like, fuck that. This is our shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that's why I'm passionate about it, because motherfuckers don't know. I was a skin when people were just saying skinheads were white power in an all black and Latin school. And I was with DMs, AF shaved head. But because I loved hardcore so much, I'm like, they don't even know. This shit comes from black music, from the whole, the soul and the sky. They don't know. I go, they don't, and I used it as a superpower. They don't know. They don't deserve it. They don't deserve to be on it. They'll figure it out, kind of shit, you know?
I mean, I would love to. Do you know how Madball got that name?
Yeah, I gotta tell you, it's funny because there's a lot of these urban legends, like, they ended up calling the 8-ball in a sock a Madball. Well, really what it was, they used to bring Freddie on the road when he was a little kid, and they used to fuck with him a lot, and like, he has a bad temper, so there's been situations where there's like a famous video, like one time they fucked with him and he literally just took rocks and blasted the windows out of the van, out of every window in the van. Like, he was a little kid, like, wilding. So he would have his head shaved, and Stigma say, hey, he looks like a little Madball. Because the toy was around, Madball. And he would say, oh, Madball. And then it became Freddie Madball.
Right.
So then he would jump up to sing the song, but Stigma was the one always rooting for him. Like, obviously, Roger loved having up, but Stigma was the one like, Madball, he should have a band. Stigma's more, this is why I love being, my whole everything with Madball was, when you talk to Stigma, he'll say, his greatest times in music were with Madball. I know you had great things with AF, but and to me, I'm like, you kidding me? That's my fucking idol. Like to be part of his best memories, to be that type, to me, he's like, ooh, forget Elvis. Fuck that. I got Stigma saying,
right.
You know what I mean? But it's great, it's having, the OGs is good that these certain OG bands are still playing, and with the right people behind it. Like, you with the right attitude, how Zach Wild is doing, how he did with Ozzy, how he's doing with Pantera. Like, yeah, I'm getting a check, but no, this shit got to be represented the right way.
He's Dimebag's best friend. You know what I mean? Like, he wouldn't do it without respect.
Yes.
You know that.
Yes. Yeah. And that's dope. And what's next for you? Right now, I know ST's like, you doing select things. What are you doing? What's your next move besides being a dad and all that stuff?
I'm probably a lot, and I got to think about what I'm doing.
Any touring? Any like playing or just?
He's not touring pretty much till the fall.
Got you. Scoring? You're scoring?
Summer. Yeah, I'm working on the scoring stuff. I'm working on trying to just solicit opportunities right now. This is kind of my time to be like, let me reach out and find opportunities for scoring, and reach out, maybe go out to LA, do some business, and
for sure
meet with some people. And I moved not too long ago, so there's all the house stuff I got to do. I got farm animals.
Dope. Still in Jersey?
Yeah, I'm still in Jersey.
Good. And that's good. You got your own. He's like, of course. You got farm animals. That's great. What kind of animals?
Well, I used to have about 70.
Jesus Christ. Like, oh, you're one of those guys. You're one of those dudes.
It was overnight. It was like, it was overnight. Like, one day, me and my wife had bought a house, and there was farm animals, and the lady didn't really take them with her. She's like, oh, I'm coming. I'm coming. I'll get them. And she'd come and take a few, and then they're still out. And I was like, fuck this. I feel anxious. Like, are they here or they're not? And I said, fuck, leave them here. And I had, like, for a few years, I was taking care of about 70 farm sheep, goats, horses, alpacas, turkeys, geese.
Crazy.
Fucking pigs.
Are you crazy?
Yeah, just all by myself.
You bugging, dude.
That was, and I was getting roughed up. Rams hit me, fucking bouncing me.
Fuck that.
I got launched 20 feet in the air.
Yo, Peter would be at my doorstep because I love animals, but fuck that. Some ram's gonna be fucking with me at the wrong time of day.
Oh, I know. I had a video on my Instagram, so I had like a little camera because it was like a security camera or some shit. And I got a footage of it. I was just doing something, and ram comes up, boom, hits me, and then he comes to do it again. I fucking kick him in the face, and I got everybody. Oh, real fucking animal.
Oh yeah, God,
I was gonna. Oh, blah 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 blah.
I was gonna say
they start ripping me, and I'm like, first of all, motherfucker, my life is to these animals. I'm sitting here. I got a chicken who should have been dead a year ago because it's a food chicken. It can't walk. It can, and I'm fucking feeding it. I'm doing. Don't tell me about animal rights. Yeah. Second of all, when the rams hit each other, it's about 80 pounds of pressure. You think my little kick did shit to that ram? He thought it tickled.
I know people are fake.
It tickled. It was like, I'm trying to not get broken right now.
People are
and of course, fucking animal Bruce, all this shit. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? This goddamn thing does it for. That's a fucking. He's got a boner.
Crazy.
Like, yeah, now we're talking. Motherfucker, kick me.
So a lot of folks. Do you have like? Do you use now for whatever animals you got left? Do you use it for milk or you just have them to have them?
They were all just rescues, man. They gave me they just cost me money. That's it. But now I moved, so I can't keep them all. But I still got some pigs. I'm trying to find good homes for all of them right now. But I got a few pigs. But in my backyard now, I got geese and turkeys and chickens, and they're cool because they got personalities and stuff.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
These birds come up and they put their head through the dog door and they're like, "Yo, breakfast." They come up.
Yeah, they say these birds are smart for sure.
Smart. They get depressed. Oh, they got full emotions. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. I know a bunch of turkeys. Yeah, I know a bunch of human turkeys. But that's good. A bunch of jive turkeys. Yeah, that's some Mike Muir lingo right there. He's still rocking the jive turkey. No, but I'm glad I was able to get up with you, man. And so as of now, you're just gonna be on the low next musical.
And I'm making music, man. I got so many projects I got to finish.
Something to be coming out.
Yeah, I have nothing coming out really. I'm just trying to. I've got. Man, everyone's asking about Dillinger documentaries and footage, and I got so many open-ended things I gotta do.
Okay, so let's leave the people with some of this. So maybe some Dillinger, something.
Maybe. You know what else? What I am doing? I was looking in my basement. I've got so much vinyl and rare shit from Dillinger.
That shit gotta come up.
And I'm like, you know what? People want this stuff. I'm gonna put up a store.
Put it up
because everyone's selling this stuff for hundreds of dollars.
Put it up.
I got like I got a whole box of these. They've been going.
Absolutely, put it up.
I've got it since 1998 that I'm carrying from house to house. I'm like, why am I doing it? My kids don't want this shit.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. Definitely put it up.
So I'm gonna make a whole store of rare shit from my history.
Yes,
that people can access easily, access affordably. And so I'm working on cataloging all that. That takes time. I'm working on soundtrack type stuff. Just tons of shit.
Definitely that music, your those tracks that you never put out, it's a great thing because that they're gonna keep it alive longer than you will. You know what I mean? They're gonna hold it and save it longer and pass it on. And you know the same thing. I always make sure when I don't have one of my albums. I wish I did because somebody would come that I know really wanted it, take it because I know you're gonna show your kid and be like, this album gave it to me, and it's gonna have its own life and your legend, your story keeps going.
Well, that's why I'm like, why am I keeping all this? Why am I carrying it around with me? Like I have it. I have the experiences. Like
yes. But listen, I'm glad you were able to jump on. We're gonna talk soon. Anyway, I want to just touch base with you on some other shit to talk some shit.
Absolutely, but you call me anytime.
You know what's up, and I'm glad everything. I'm glad Suicidal got the squad now, and it's sounding good. And I'm glad Jersey. I'm glad they got some East Coast in the mix.
100%, yep.
And whenever you're in Florida, I'm down here. If you ever come down here,
where are you in Florida now?
I'm in Miami, Hollywood area right now, and I'm gonna be up north soon. I'm working on a new cannabis show where I connect cannabis with music and local businesses. So I'm gonna be up in New York, New Jersey soon. Yeah. So we just got to get up and chill.
I come to Miami every now and again too. So
whenever you come down here, let me know. I'm here, and then if anything, we'll do some jamming at my house for sure. You know,
my kids are Jubans. So,
they belong here.
Miami's kind of the place. You know
Listen, whenever you here, you come down. We chill. Not only we chill, we'll work on some music. We'll talk some shit. We'll jump on here and we'll do some shit for sure.
Well, let's make it happen.
Absolutely. Listen, I'm glad you jumped up. Everybody, make sure you follow him. I'm gonna send you the link when I put this out, and I'll text you in a little bit. All right.
All right. Cool. Thanks.
Yo, we out of here. Go make sure you follow my man Ben Weinman on everything he does. Suicidal, Dirty Jersey, Dillinger. Look out for that Dillinger exclusive store. He's going to be selling shit. Go buy it. Exclusives.
Exclusives.
Yo, we out of here. Yo, we out of here. Be safe, man. We talk soon, all right? Peace.